This is the Shaver Prep Football Podcast, episode 3. Thanks for watching. We have a packed show this week. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'm very excited. Detroit Lions All-Pro Center Frank Ragnow will join me. He is, of course, a former Chanhassen football star. He's in the middle of training camp right now, but we're going to check in with Frank, and it's a discussion I think you're going to want to hear. But first, high school football practice is underway in Minnesota. In fact, it kicked off at 12:01 Monday morning, August 12th, as White Bear Lake High School held their annual Midnight Madness practice. Head coach Ryan Bartlett ran his team through an hour practice from midnight to 1 a.m., and the players absolutely loved this. And what makes this extra special? The Bears practiced at their brand new football stadium, at their brand new high school, which is opening this year. No longer 2 campuses in White Bear Lake, now just 1 location. I was there early Monday morning. Pretty cool thing. Here's what Coach Bartlett told me Monday morning.
Look how much fun they're having. Yeah, I mean, it's not for the coaches, that's for sure. But no, it's an experience, and I think we try to make the whole season needs to be an experience. And I think this way to start it it's a sacrifice in some ways, and it's a lot of stuff, but ultimately the kids have a ton of fun. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest reason we do it.
The Bears will open the season Thursday night, August 29th at home against Minnetonka. What a great way to kick off a new era in White Bear Lake football. We have 3 guests on this podcast coming up in a few minutes. Detroit Lions All-Pro Center Frank Ragnow will join me. Of course, superstar at Chanhassen High School, later played at Arkansas. Also, Monticello's Luke Emmerich is here. He committed to Wisconsin this past spring, but his football journey has been anything but smooth, and you'll hear from Luke coming up. But first, I am honored to have the winningest football coach in Minnesota prep football history. Mike Mahlen of Verndale kicks off the show. Mike Mahlen of Verndale is the winningest coach in Minnesota prep football history. 432 wins, 132 losses, and 3 ties. Heading into year 56 at Verndale High School. And Mike joins us now. We are in the process of 2-a-day practices in August. What do you look for in year 56 at your players in 2-a-day practices? What do you hope to see and learn about your team during August as you prepare for your opener?
Well, this year we're looking for some receivers. We got a really good quarterback, and we're sort of lacking at the receiver position, so we're looking for receivers for sure.
Is there a position that, other than receiver, that every year, because of the size of Verndale, the school size, that you stress about, that you worry about?
Oh, not so much. Like this year, we've got 5 senior linemen, and we're scrambling to try to find who's going to play line on the B team. We don't have any kids linemen in those grades, the younger grades and stuff. So it's a little challenge there for us right now.
You were 20 years old when you took over the program in 1969. How in the heck did you even know what you were doing?
Well, I probably didn't know what I was doing, but then and now I've had really fortunate to have outstanding assistant coaches all the way through. And that's my first game was at Clarissa. And the score was 0-0, and neither team crossed the other team's 30-yard line. So I was wondering, what am I getting into here? So although I was missing 3 of my backs that year, we're missing 3 good running backs because different things happened. And it was quite an experience there.
I've heard Dwight Lundeen talk about his philosophy of football, which is you have goals to win, but you also have a purpose in what you do. But when you're early in your career, isn't it a little bit more important only because you're trying to establish your program, and then the rest of the pieces will fall in place as you teach kids and your purpose is to help them be better men. But early in your career, didn't you worry a little bit more about wins and losses?
Oh, probably. It's hard to remember back that far, I guess, right now. But it was, yeah, that was important to us, and it's always been important to make sure these boys become good young men, and when they graduate and in the society, that's what you like to see is when they get out in the world and they're good people and they're good family men and good fathers and stuff like that.
You've coached three generations of families in Verndale.
Yeah,
Are you close to the fourth generation?
yeah, we're close. I've had three of them now. Well, not fourth generation, but I've had three third generations, and the fourth is probably coming up now. So, I mean, the third
Right.
generation, but fourth, I don't know. That's a stretch, but I guess I'd like to be around that long to do that, but we'll see what happens.
Tell me about coaching a third generation player that was part of your program. What is that
Well,
like?
yeah, it's strange sometimes because, for instance, one kid his dad was a tight end and defensive lineman, and now his son's going to be a quarterback and a safety, sort of. And there's been some other things like that too, where the kids just seem to be the opposite of what their dad was and stuff. And from there, we had Orlando's. Their dad was a lineman, and one brother was a lineman too. But then he's up at UND right now, and he was a really good tight end for us. And so there's been and those three generations, all those kids have been good, and the parents have been very supportive. And that's the thing with if you get good support from the parents and administration and teachers, we've always had that in Verndale. We've always had that support from those three groups, and that's so important. And especially for the parents, if the parents are backing you up, and that's seems to be getting a little less than it used to be, but it's still pretty good here. But it used to be really good. And
For people that don't know, the first 16 years that you coached at Verndale, it was 11-man football.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not always been 9-player
no,
football.
no.
That transition, obviously, was it difficult? Was it challenging? And you've got it down to a science now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was that big of a deal. I guess in my first 16 years too, we had one assistant coach. I had one assistant coach, and that guy changed every 2 years. I had a math teacher, and he'd leave, and I got another math teacher, and he'd leave. For 16 years, I had a different assistant coach, and you get to the point where you try to do everything yourself. Well, now I've got last number of years, I've been able to delete some of that or
Delegate some of that. Yeah.
some of that to the other coaches. First it was tough to do that because you've right away it started off, I had to do it all myself. And
Are you kind of that way though? Do you mind doing a lot of the work yourself? I assume early on in your career, you wanted to set the tone for what you wanted this program to be.
well, yes, and I really appreciate that the coaches now can take over, and I am confident that they can do the job. And like I said, it was hard right away to get trying to do everything yourself, and it's impossible in football, especially. You need 3 or 4 good assistant coaches in football more than any sport, I think.
So here we are, year 56 for you. And I read a quote where you said, as soon as I get sick of practice is when I know that I'm done. I'm assuming you're still not sick of practice.
No.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. If you get, you're not sick of practice and you're not sick of game planning, I guess that's the key to it because, anybody can do the games. That's the easy part. And I guess I learned that when I coached track and field for 20 years. And it got to the point I didn't enjoy, I still enjoyed the meets. The meets were fun, but I didn't enjoy going to practice. It's time to get out. And same thing in football. And I actually enjoy football better now because I'm not teaching and I'm not the athletic director, and all I have to do is coach footballs. So that's sort of a nice deal.
You have to love the grind to love football, right? Because it is a grind, and it's, I'm not familiar with what it's like in Verndale, but in other schools, bigger schools, it's a year-round sometimes process because of where they are. For you, you must love the grind.
Oh yeah, and it's like we've got here too. A small school. They need to play other sports. We
Yep.
got good sports here, and track and field, baseball, basketball. And really can't be a year-round situation here. We try to get the kids to lift weights. Obviously, but that's good for all the sports, and we've done a better job of getting a weight program going and kids coming in the summertime. And so I guess I don't think it's a grind. I don't feel the grind because I still enjoy doing it. And like I said, I'm having more fun now than I've ever had, just because that's all I got to worry about is football.
How proud are of your win total? Does it mean a lot to you, or is it just part of the process of you coaching over all these years?
Yeah, it's part of the process, I guess. I'm not into coaching for wins. I'm not here to see how many wins I can get. I'm here to try to see good players and become good young men. I guess that's the biggest, most important part of it. And yeah, it's nice to, it's obviously more fun to win than it is to lose. I mean, that's
Sure.
thought about that. So,
Well, you're the only coach in Minnesota to reach 400 wins. You're at 432. Dwight Lundeen sits at 399. He is second all time behind you in Minnesota. When you reached 400, was there something special about that? And will Dwight feel that special moment when you reached a milestone like that?
oh, I think he will, and I did, and I guess more important, I felt better when I was inducted in the football, Hall of Fame was more important to me than 400 wins, but that meant a lot too, and yeah, it means a lot, and
Yeah. Scout nine player football for me. Tell me the teams that we should be looking out for as we begin 2024.
well, we just got moved to a new section last year. We were in section 4, which is very very competitive over there, and we got moved to section 5, and they have Cromwell in there, and Mountain Iron Buell, and
Tough.
some really good teams over there to Ogilvy, and there was some, we got moved over there, but we kept Bertha Hewitt and Sabika. They got moved too. That's our two closest rivals, so it wasn't such a big deal. Everybody said, well, you must have a lot more mileage going over there. I said, no, I figured it out. There's 5 miles difference, from going there to going. And we realized we had to go down to Ortonville, and Wheaton and Clinton Graceville. And there were some pretty long hauls there too. So,
What's the best advice, Mike, that you've ever given a player? What's the advice that maybe has stuck with these three generations of players that you've coached, that maybe when you see them years and years later, they may come up to you and say, thank you for whatever it is that you might have said to them?
yeah, I'm not sure what I've said to them that changed things, but yeah, I've had several, kids come up and say that. And I guess I'm not sure if I said something specific to, this or that, just basically give me a 100% effort, and be a good person, and that's all you can ask from the kids.
State of Minnesota football right now, as you look across the state from 6A to 9 player, what's your evaluation? What's your thought of how good Minnesota high school football is?
Well, I think it's very good, and I think it's getting better. It's better and better all along, and I just from 6A to 9-man. There's some pretty good teams in 9-man too. I mean, sometimes they look and say, well, that's only 9-man. What a lot of the 9-man teams could compete with the Class A for sure, and some of the Class 2A also. Obviously, we can't compete with Eden Prairie and Wayzata and people like that, but we can compete with. I feel was what we did for the first 16 years. Then we were a pretty good conference too with Battle Lake and Henning, and we had a real nice conference back then. So, and we do now too. Well, now it went to districts. You can't even have conference anymore. You can't name it. We were in the Pheasant Conference all the time, and when we changed, we wanted to call it the Pheasant Conference. No, we had to call it District 4.
Not quite the same.
No, it isn't, but it is what it is.
Well, you open the season Thursday night, August 29th against Carleton Renshaw at home. Do you still get butterflies on opening night?
Oh, I probably get butterflies for every game, not just opening night.
After 55 years, you still get butterflies.
Oh, you still get anxious, and stuff, and for every game. So,
well, that's a good thing, I suppose, right? Keeps you on your toes.
That's part of the reason I keep doing it, I guess. And it's just fun every year to, see the new kids, where are you going to put them? Okay, who's going to, right now we're struggling to find a couple tight ends, and who's going to play tight end, and we end up moving one of our tackles to tight end, just but 9-man football, I said that a tight end has to be a tight end and he has to be a tackle. I think the tight end's a very important position in 9-man football. And of course, one of my assistant coaches was the tight end, and I told him that I think the tight end's most important position on the team. Of course, he never lets me forget that whatsoever.
Hey, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Mike Mahlen, 432 wins, 132 losses, 3 ties, over 55 seasons in Minnesota, beginning year number 56 in just a few weeks. Mike, thank you. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
I was visiting with my friends over at Truestone Financial the other day, and they're just a warm and welcoming group. They're known as the Neighborhood Credit Union, and I think that's the best way to describe them. When I'm at Truestone, I feel like I'm chatting with my neighbors. Combine that personality with a full menu of services and a lot of financial expertise, and you have a winning combination. Whether I need a checking account, a car loan, even a mortgage, I know I'm going to be working with smart, friendly people. With 23 locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, you're not far from a Truestone neighborhood. Visit a branch near you or learn more at truestone.org. Truestone is an equal housing opportunity lender. So we are in early August, and training camp around the NFL has opened up, and that includes the Detroit Lions, and that means that Frank Ragnow is entering. What year is this for you? 7 or 8 in the NFL?
Year 7.
Year 7. Can you believe it is year 7 for you in the NFL?
It is crazy. It is crazy how fast it flies. I mean, I'm an old man now, I guess. It's just nuts.
Are you like the veteran of the locker room where all the media, because you're such a great guy, does all the media like flock around you because they know you're going to talk?
There's been some years where I've been more talkative than others, but I feel like I'm a straight shooter and they respect that. I try to be the same guy every day.
I listened to you after you guys lost to the 49ers in the NFC title game, and you said something about being grateful, but also stung hard by the what ifs. And somebody asked you, how long will it take you to get over the what ifs? So how long did it take you to get over it?
I don't think I'm over it, to be honest. I think
Really?
I think that's a good thing. I think our team in general kind of has that sting. And I think it's good to have. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can channel motivation, and I think it's just another way we can use as a tool to get me through these long days in August. Is just remember that sting and remember what it takes and what you have. And it took a lot. It took a lot to get to that point, and it wasn't enough. So just knowing that and knowing that you have to do that much more, I think, is an advantage.
For all those out there that don't know, Frank Ragnow was a star football player at Chanhassen High School. He went on to play for Arkansas in college and then ended up being drafted in 2018 by the Detroit Lions. So your football journey has been awesome because you've had a chance to experience all of these different things. What is it about the NFL that maybe is just more of a grind than anything else? Because I've said this before, football in itself is a grind. You have to love the grind. Otherwise, you don't love the sport. But I would think in your case, in the NFL, for as long as you've been, and I've been around professional football players, it mentally almost as difficult as physically, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. People just see Sundays, but it is I mean, starting up camp. It's kind of like, see you later, everybody. See you later, family. See you, friends. Like, I'll see you when the season's over. There is so much that goes on throughout the week, mentally and physically, to prepare for each opponent and prepare your body and the game plan, understand what's going in, understand the nuances of what this defensive coordinator tends to do, what these players tend to do, studying film, looking at the playbook. It's a whole different deal. And especially at my position as center, I kind of am in charge. I kind of run the show up there for the offense. So I need to be on my A game and understanding, like, hey, is Harrison Smith going to blitz here when he's on the line of scrimmage, or is he going to end up being the deep safety? Like, I got to know all these things and these tendencies. So, and I like that. It's the chess game within the game. Like, a lot of people probably think it's a big brute, let's go run and play physical and see what happens. But there's a lot of thinking going on, and it's something that I've really fallen in love with the game.
And that's what makes you a Pro Bowl center. That's what makes you who you are, because there are more things to this game than just the 5 seconds that you're blocking somebody. There's all those things that you just talked about. When I was prepping for this, I did notice, Frank, a lot of people asking, is Frank Ragnow going to retire?
Yeah.
Physically, he's been beaten up over the last few years. Is he going to retire? I know you're in the middle of a contract. How are you feeling physically, and has that thought crossed your mind?
I think that's more people speculating because of just the physical beating. I've been unlucky these past 2 years. I've gone through the gauntlet of injuries, but I feel really good right now. And I haven't felt this good in a while. So we're just kind of taking it day by day and trying to enjoy everything. And I'm taking my health very seriously and appreciating it, because I know how it is. Because when you get that chronic stuff, I've had a toe injury, a back deal like that really weighs on your mentals. And it's when it's a daily in and out thing, it's always in the back of your mind. It can really weigh you down. So right now, to be feeling good, feeling fresh is really nice, and I'm hoping to keep it that way.
We'll get back to this NFL talk in a second. I want to focus on high school. You were a CARE TV All-Metro football player in 2013 for me. You were named to my All-Decade team in 2010 through 2019, and you're also first team all-time All-Metro. Only 6 offensive linemen were on that team: Chantrell Henderson, Quinn Carroll, J.C. Hassenauer, who made it to the NFL, played for Eastridge. He was the same year as you. Mike Dowdy out of Lakeville, great football player, played for Notre Dame, and Ryan Harris, who played in the NFL out of Cretin. What did you take away from your high school experience at Chan that has stuck with you all this time? Here you are 7 years into the NFL, and you still somehow relate to something that was said, advice that was given when you were a high school football player at Chan.
Our defensive coordinator at the time was Josh Omeg, and he really said something that stuck with me, and I think is the reason is where I am today. Is great football players are made in the weight room. And I truly believe that. I think there is so much that can be gained by your preparation and the process in the off season, making sure that your body's in the best physical shape and making sure you're as strong as you can, but also the mental toll that takes to be consistent. It teaches you so many different things of consistency, integrity, self-motivation, being able to push yourself, like all those things that you don't even realize you're learning all in the weight room. And I think that's been what's kind of been a big key to my career. Is I feel like I I'm very proud of my work ethic, and I feel like that's kind of what has been able to, because that's what will get you places, and then it also what will separate you from others if you keep that up and never forget that.
And that's not necessarily something you'll learn once you get to college or the NFL. You really have to have it before you get there, right?
Yeah,
To be successful.
yeah, because it's going to get you there. The kids in high school that are stronger and faster, that's going to get you in the door, and then if you keep pushing that throughout and throughout, it's going to get you even farther and farther and farther. And I think the weight room, and I've been blessed to be around some great strength coaches. I think that's been a huge difference in my career.
It's not necessarily the most fun thing to do when you're in high school, though, right? I mean, you
Oh,
almost have to mentally prepare yourself to do that on a consistent basis. How did you do that? Did you?
take that. And what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying you do the weight room and you don't do other sports, because I did all the sports I could play. And I think that's like, that's a huge hot topic now, is don't specialize. I think
Right,
you should, yeah,
right.
you should every sport. But I was also like, we'd have basketball practice after school. Well, I was in the weight room at 6 a.m. before school working out. So you just gotta you have to have your mind and realize that you can do what you want. You just have to go do it. And I think that's a big, powerful thing, is you're going to have to make sacrifices. I wasn't the party kid. I had to make some sacrifices, and it's turned out pretty good for me.
For all those high school football players and coaches who are watching and listening, there are no shortcuts, right? There are no shortcuts to get to where you are in your life and your career. It takes you just don't wake up one morning and you're a Pro Bowl center. You have to put in the time, right? You have to put in the time and the effort. And I think that's, it's easy to say, but it's
Mhm.
hard to do, right? And you just have to have that mental
Yeah.
ability to do that.
Just adversity, the hard road, all that stuff. It sucks, but it's good for you. And it's even if it's the straight path, the shortcut, and then there's this crazy hard path. Probably the crazy hard path is the best path for you, and that's what I've definitely learned. I mean, I'm not some old wise guy, but through my years, that's what I've learned. Like, everything difficult and hard and tough, and that has made me very, very uncomfortable, has made me better.
What made Friday night special at Chan? What do you
I don't
remember from high school football Friday nights?
I don't think there's anything better. I seriously, like,
Here it
I
is,
don't
a guy who's been in the Pro Bowl, who's been in the NFC title game, and he's saying there's nothing better than high
I
school
don't know
football.
what it is. I think part of it is because, like, the relationships, like, everybody, like, everybody in those stands, that student section. It's all so intimate. Like, we were so blessed with our Chanhassen Chaska rivalry. Like, those games, basketball, football, all of it was just incredible. And I love that environment. Like, the anticipation in school leading up throughout the week, like, there was nothing better.
And you hear that from NFL players, at least I have a lot when I
Mhm.
interviewed them. What was the most enjoyable part of your football life? And most of them will say high school football.
It's real. It's real. And I think part of it, I mean, you hate to say this, but it's a job now. It's just different, and the innocence and just the pure chasing of the dream and chasing of the goal with your best high school friends. It's like, there's nothing better.
Yeah. What's the best advice you could give to a high school football player, sophomore, freshman, junior out there who's beginning this journey for real? They're playing varsity football. What would you say? What would be the things that they should think about, focus on?
Set your goal and don't let anybody tell you anything different, and put that goal in the back of your mind with every single thing, decision, everything that you do. Keep that goal in mind.
How about for a high school coach or a coach that's coaching young guys? Because you've been around a lot of them, including the guy right now, Dan Campbell, who I know you love, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
that in a second. But what about for a football coach out there who's mentoring and coaching young people? What advice would you give them?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is I will play harder, and it will mean more to me because I will care about you, is when you're showing, like, it's everything's through love, everything's through positivity. And that doesn't mean you can't be a hard coach, because I've had some hard coaches on me that have been tough, but I know that guy loves me and he cares about me. And it's been throughout the year, not just on game day. He's shown that. And I think that's something special, that when you develop a relationship, because I know he cares about me as a person, then I think a player will do anything for you.
And Dan Campbell, is he like that for you?
Everybody talks about how great he is on the media. He's better. I'm telling you, he's as good as gold. I'm very blessed to have him, especially seeing some other coaches and stuff like that. He's smart. He's intelligent. Has such a good emotional grasp of the locker room and the players. And I think that's something that's just like so hard to have. Like, I think you either have or you don't. And for a coach to have that feeling and have the understanding of a locker room, I think it's great.
12-5 last year in the regular season, get all the way to the NFC title game. The grind is starting again right now. Here we are in August. It's training camp. How you feel? What do you think? What's the feeling in the Lions right now?
I think we all kind of have that same feeling. We know the standard. We know the goal this year. And if you're not winning it, you're a loser. And that's kind of that's the reality. And that's what we want. And we're going to hold ourselves to that standard. But we're also going to realize that it's going to be a one day at a time. And it's not going to be, hey, blink, we're there. We gotta get through week 1. We got to get through week 2, and so on and so on and so on. And it's a process. And I think we got the right group. We got a great, young, hungry group of guys that had the right head on their shoulders.
When football is over, there's so many lakes out there. There's so many fish waiting for Frank Ragnow, right?
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm not gonna lie. I love that side of it. Let me tell you.
I know you do.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I look forward to it.
Well, I wish you nothing but good luck this season. It's been fun following your career from the time you were at Chan to where you are now. Congratulations and good luck this fall.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Frank. We'll be right back. Well, Luke Emmerich is committed to Wisconsin to play college football, but to get to that point, the road has been a difficult one, and Luke is here to share that. For people who don't know, you've torn your ACL twice, and the second time you did it right before your junior year last year. You were cleared to play. It was a freak deal, and you missed your entire junior year. So take us from how it happened last year, the mindset that you had to get back in again for the PT, to where you're sitting right now.
So it happened my sophomore year, just in the playoff game, and was doing PT for a solid 7 months. And right and then I was coming home from a friend's house and was reaching to shut off the garage and kind of felt my knee go a little bit. And once you tear your ACL once, I mean, you know exactly what it feels like after that. But knew right away, kind of ran up the stairs, got my mom and dad, and was like, we got to go in tomorrow. I mean, we got to get another MRI. And I just thinking of everything, like, because it sucked. I mean, the first 7 months were,
right.
I mean, it's good stuff, but I mean, nobody wants to be driving. No 17-year-old kid should be having to drive to physical therapy 3 times a week. But it was a struggle, and then to think about having to do it all again and just restarting from the bottom was tough. And the way that I was able to keep doing it was just the hunger in me to want to fulfill a childhood dream of playing college football and continue playing for my high school team. I didn't want it to be like, people were saying like, oh, is your career going to be over? Like, are you going to stop playing football? And I mean, I definitely had some doubts every once in a while, but my idea of what I wanted to do never changed, and just wanting to get to the next step was really what drove me in, and it worked out great for me.
And not only does it suck that you tear it twice, but you tear it right before the football season starts. So then you have to do PT while your team is playing in the fall. So you're not playing, you're on the sidelines. That has had to be like doubly brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard to watch, but we figured it out a little bit. We had a decent record. We found some missing pieces, but I mean, while they're practicing and I'm doing single leg squats on the sideline, holding a football, just wishing I could be out there with the pads and the cleats on. I mean, it was hard, but to just see, it's a different perspective from the sideline. I mean, I played my freshman year, so I never have really sat and just watched. And I mean, you definitely learn a lot about people's body language, the way they act, and just every facet of football you don't see when you're one of the 22 guys on the field. I mean, it's really different on the sideline.
So you were being recruited at the time, and recruiters, they see a guy, he's torn his ACL for the second time. Sometimes they'll disappear.
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't follow up. What you had to do, though, was to prove to everybody that you were healthy. And you did that in the spring. And I follow you on X. And so I couldn't believe the amount of D1 offers you got in the span of like 5 or 6 days after you ran 100 meters in track. I think you ran 10.6
Yep.
in the 100 meters. And all of a sudden, it blows up, right? Talk about that.
So I always I did track my freshman year, and I took it seriously, but I never thought that I would be any good at it. And then after PT, I was like, I got to do something because everybody knows for football, junior year is the year you need for recruiting. And I didn't get that. So I was like, what can I do? Talked with my coach and with my parents about what can I do to show that I'm good besides a workout video. I mean, they need something like pen to paper, statistical. So I'm 100 meter in track. I mean, a football field is about the closest race to 100 meters is a football field. So I did that and I got 10.6. And I mean, I think right after that, I got a phone call from my second offer, or Power 4 offer, I would say now, was Iowa State right after that. So I was like, oh, that worked out well. And then it's just like a domino effect. I mean, they roll in right after that.
Did you I don't remember, did you put it out on X that, hey, I just ran a 10.6?
Yep.
And so did you do that because you were proud of the 10.6, or you knew that once college recruiters see that, hear about it, it's going to open the doors again?
I completely did that as a tool. I mean, it was my recruiting tool. And I mean, I was obviously happy about the time, but that's such a strong thing that speed is number one thing you need in football. And I think I posted it maybe 5 minutes after the race. I did not wait at all.
So if I have the numbers right, 15 offers you received?
15.
And you chose Wisconsin, and you chose them really quick. I was surprised because like I said, he had a ton of offers back to back to back. Why Wisconsin?
So I actually went there, not on a visit, but my freshman year of high school, my dad and my sister, we just went to go watch the first game of the year. And I love the campus, and I was like, wow, I want to go to this school, whether I'm a student or if I'm lucky enough to be able to play football. This is the school I would want to go to. And it all worked out that I was able to get an offer from them. And I knew pretty quick once they offered, that was the offer I was waiting for. And me and my parents, after I got that offer, we went out to dinner that night and we talked about when are we going to make a decision? This is all three of us. This is what we want to do. This is what I want to do. And so we knew pretty much right after that offer that I was going to go to Wisconsin.
So this really didn't happen at a camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is unique because it happened in the spring after you ran the 100 meters in track.
Yeah.
You didn't go
different sport.
Different sport altogether. But they obviously still had you on their radar.
Yep.
They were still, I assume there was still communication between the two of you. And all they were waiting for was that last piece that, hey, the guy is healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if that, the way that they did it, so they dialed down on communication a little bit. They were pretty heavy on me my sophomore year. And then after the track, there's this it's the $250,000 investment is a full scholarship. So you can't just be throwing those out. You gotta make sure you do your correct homework, and in that 100 meter, that's exactly what they needed. And they told me that a few times and went out, and that was my whole purpose of doing it.
So people that don't know, Luke Emmerich is a safety for Monticello. That's probably what you'll play in college as well. You're a unique safety because not only can you cover, but you love to go downhill.
Yep.
You love to hit. That's what, and it's almost the linebacker mentality in a safety's body, right? Tell me about that.
So I mean, I like to cover, but there's nothing. I think there's nothing like going and cracking somebody. But
So why not bulk up and be a linebacker?
I don't know if I can get that big. But no, they want me to. So at Wisconsin, they play a 3 safeties. They
Yep.
play with a true nickel as kind of a strong safety and a free safety. So they see me as a strong safety, and they want to get me, up, I think, 15 pounds, and that's where I'll play at. And I think that's a perfect position for me because what they do at Wisconsin is that safety either covers or they can blitz, they go play on the box, they guard a slot or a tight end or even a running back. So I'm super excited at that and super versatile. So it's a fun position to play. So I'm excited for it.
So for all the young kids out there, or players who have gotten hurt during the course of their career, and maybe they've been through the same thing you have, give those people those kids, those players, some things to think about, something to focus on. What did you focus on during your PT that kept you on the track?
Yep.
Because there's a lot of kids that when that kind of thing happens to them, they get off the track,
Yep.
right? It's just hard to stay focused. And maybe you're a little bit different because you knew that this was D1 is where you wanted to go. But I think you probably have some insight as to what worked for you that maybe can work for someone else.
For sure. I think that a lot of, ACL is a common injury, knee injury.
Yep.
It's happening everywhere.
Yep.
But I feel like there's more of a mental aspect to an injury like that than there is a physical aspect, or just as much, because you're on top of the world for the play before,
Yep.
you're having fun with your teammates, and then the next thing you know, you're like, I'm just gonna sit on the couch for the next 9 months, and it's horrible. And there's a kid actually on my high school team who we just found out yesterday that he tore his ACL also. So I called him right away and just
Yep.
kind of was like, what do you need from me? Like,
Yep,
I
I've been there.
got all the tips and tricks for you, and it's hard, but just you got to do your PT, you got to get surgery. Like, it's a long road, but at the end of the day, once you recover from it and you get like that full clearance from the doctor, there's no better feeling than that.
So now you head into your senior season. You don't have to worry about recruiting. It's over. It's done. How much are you looking forward to 2024?
I'm super excited. The stress of not having to try and prove to coaches that they should take me, or try to, the rankings, the hype, none of that really matters anymore. Just be able to go out and freely play and know what I'm going to do next year and starting in January. And I'm super excited to just see what we can do. And we have a good team this year. So I think I don't think Monticello has made it to state since 1988. So I think that's our goal in mind, and we get reminded of it every practice, every lift. So I think we're all on the same page that we're going to make it to state this year.
The Magic open the season on Thursday night, the 29th, against Bemidji, and then you're off and running. Do you worry? Are you walking upstairs gingerly? Are you holding on to the railings? What are you doing to make sure that this? Is it in the back of your mind? Oh gosh, I can't do this because I'm afraid that might happen again.
No, definitely like the first couple track practices, I was like kind of like, ooh, like it felt normal. I'm just like scared. It's something you don't do it for so long or move, so it's like.
Did it come back stronger? Did you feel like it came back stronger?
I can lift more now too. Because that's all you do it. When you tear your ACL, you lose all of your quad strength.
Right.
So all you're doing is pretty much lifting. But no, I'm not scared at all. I got the right people that helped me through PT, and they told me that it'll be 110% back and better. So, and I actually have it's called a internal brace.
Okay.
So my knee won't twist. And my surgery was actually done by Dr. Chris Larson, the
Vikings doctor.
Yep. He did AP before he won the MVP. So that's
Is that what you're hanging your hat
That's
on?
what I tell everyone. So no, I'm super confident in it, and
Good.
just everything that I've done so far. If it fails me, I don't know what to do after that.
Well, here's the good news. The family doesn't have to change the colors that they wear because red is the Badger color. So you're all set with that. Hey, thanks for coming in here. Thanks for sharing your story. And I wish you good health and good luck this fall.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Luke. We'll be right back. That's it for our show this week. Thanks for watching. Next week, Indianapolis Colts running back Evan Hull, the superstar from Maple Grove High School, will join us, plus the 2 best football players, at least being recruited Division I in the state of Minnesota. Two seniors, Abu Tarawali of Providence Academy and Emmanuel Carmo of Cooper, will be my guests next week. For producer Alex Haugen and the great folks here at Talk North, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.